Title: The Ghost Army. How artists fooled the Nazis with inflatable tanks. Description: in the deadliest conflict in human history, one of the most brilliant deceptions was carried out. Not by soldiers, but by artists, designers, and sound engineers. This is the story of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, the top-secret U.S. Army unit known as the Ghost Army, armed with inflatable tanks, sonic deception, and fake radio chatter. They staged more than 20 battlefield deceptions, saving tens of thousands of lives by tricking the German army. Discover the incredible tale of creativity and courage that helped turn the tide of World War II. 000 in the midst of World War II. As battles raged across Europe, a secret war was being fought. A war of illusion, of trickery, of phantom forces that appeared and vanished like ghosts. This wasn't a war fought with bullets and bombs, but with rubber, paint, and sound waves. This is the incredible, declassified story of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, better known as the Ghost Army. Their mission: to deceive the German High Command on a scale never before imagined. 045, the year is 1944. The Allies are pushing deep into France after the D-Day landings. But the German army is a formidable and entrenched foe. Every Allied move is scrutinized, every troop concentration a potential target. A new kind of weapon was needed, one that attacked the mind of the enemy rather than their body. And so, the Ghost Army was born. This top-secret unit, comprised of over 1,000 artists, architects, sound engineers, and admin, was recruited from art schools and creative agencies across America. Their battlefield wasn't a trench, it was a canvas. Their ammunition was ingenuity. 130, the Ghost Army's arsenal was unlike any other in the world. At the heart of their deception were the inflatables. Imagine a German reconnaissance pilot flying overhead, spotting what looks like an entire armored division, hundreds of M4 Sherman tanks, artillery pieces, and transport trucks, poised for an attack. But from the ground, these war machines were nothing more than carefully crafted rubber balloons. It took a team of just 4 men only a few minutes to inflate a 93-pound rubber tank. They were so realistic that from a few hundred feet up, they were indistinguishable from the real thing. 2:15, but it wasn't just about looking the part. The Ghost Army had to act the part. Soldiers would intentionally leave behind fake tank tracks, using specially designed rollers to create the illusion of a large unit. A handful of men would drive a few trucks in loops, kicking up dust and giving the impression of a massive convoy on the move. They even hired local French citizens to act as gossips in nearby towns, spreading false information about troop movements that they knew would be picked up by German intelligence. 3:00. This multi-sensory deception was a symphony of lies, and the orchestra was conducted by the 3132nd Signal Service Company. This sonic deception unit was perhaps the most audacious part of the entire operation. They traveled with massive speakers mounted on trucks, capable of blasting pre-recorded sounds of military activity for up to 15 miles. Engineers had spent months at Fort Knox, meticulously recording the sounds of armored divisions on the move, of engineers building bridges, of soldiers marching. 3:45 at night. Under the cover of darkness, these sound trucks would roll into position near the front lines. They would play their recordings, a carefully mixed and edited soundscape of war, the clanking of tank treads, the shouts of commanders. The rumble of engine soul of it was a sonic mirage. For the German soldiers listening in the dark, it sounded like a massive Allied force was gathering right on their doorstep, preparing for a dawn assault. They would radio their commanders, who would then divert precious troops and resources to counter a threat that simply wasn't there. 4:30. The third element of this masterful deception was radio trickery, handled by the Signal Company. They mimicked the radio traffic of real military units. Every division in the U.S. Army had a unique signature in its Morse code transmissions, the specific rhythm and style of each radio operator. The Ghost Army's radio operators were masters of impersonation. They could convincingly fake the traffic of a unit that was actually hundreds of miles away, creating confusion and misdirection. They would send streams of meaningless, coded messages, knowing the enemy was listening, piecing together a completely false picture of Allied intentions. 5:15, one of the Ghost Army's most significant missions was Operation V. In March 1945, The U.S. Ninth Army was preparing to cross the heavily fortified Rhine River, a critical and dangerous step towards entering Germany. The real crossing was planned for a specific location, but the Germans knew an attack was coming somewhere. The Ghost Army was called in to create a massive diversion. Their task was to convince the Germans that the crossing would happen about 10 miles south of the actual location. 6 o'clock for 2 days and nights, the Ghost Army went to work. They deployed their full bag of tricks. Over 600 inflatable tanks and artillery pieces were set up in staging areas. The Sonic Deception Unit broadcast the sounds of bridge construction all through the night. Dummy headquarters were established, complete with fake generals and buzzing radio traffic. To add a layer of authenticity, they even painted the insignia of the 2 real divisions they were impersonating onto their vehicles and wore their shoulder patches. 6:45, the deception was flawless. German intelligence took the bait completely. They directed their artillery fire and repositioned 2 entire divisions, including a battle-hardened panzer division, to face the Phantom Army. While the Germans were staring at rubber tanks and listening to recordings, the real Ninth Army crossed the Rhine with minimal resistance. Military historians estimate that this single act of deception saved thousands, perhaps tens of thousands, of Allied lives. 7:30. The members of the Ghost Army were a unique breed of soldier. They were creative thinkers, placed in a life-or-death situation. Many would go on to have famous careers after the war, like fashion designer Bill Blass and painter Ellsworth Kelly. But they were sworn to secrecy. For more than 40 years after the war ended, their story remained classified. They couldn't tell their families, their friends, or the world about their incredible contributions. They were, in the truest sense, unsung heroes. 8:15, they performed over 20 major deceptions, from the fields of France to the banks of the Rhine. Each time, they put themselves in incredible danger. They were often operating just a few miles from the front lines, a small unit with only light weapons to defend themselves. Their greatest weapon was their creativity. But if their bluff was ever called, they would have been easily overrun. Their courage was just as real as any soldiers on the front line. 9:00. The story of the Ghost Army is a powerful testament to the idea that ingenuity can be as mighty as firepower. It shows that in the grim calculus of war, a clever idea can save more lives than a battalion of soldiers. It's a reminder that heroes come in all forms, not just those who charge into battle, but also those who use their minds to outwit and outmaneuver the enemy, fighting a war of ghosts and shadows. 9:30. Finally, in 1996, the story of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops was declassified, and in 2022, they were awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the nation's highest honors. The artists, designers, and engineers who fooled the German army finally got the recognition they so richly deserved. Their legacy is a fascinating chapter in the history of warfare, proving that sometimes the most powerful weapon of all is the human imagination. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as incredible as we did, please like this video and subscribe for more hidden histories.